Plus years ago, and to think about the extraordinary geopolitical times that we were living through, the fall of the Berlin Wall. The United States was gathering a mighty coalition for the first Gulf War to push back against Saddam Hussein's illegal entry into Kuwait. We had the Paris Charter. We had the collapse of the Soviet Union. We had Sweden and Finland joining the European Union in the mid-90s. These were extraordinary geopolitical times, and things were going our way. 30 years later, we are facing the same tumultuous geopolitical times, but things are not going our way. It doesn't feel as if that end of history and that the way we thought the world would shape is coming to fruition. But the turmoil is similar to now. NATO and the European Union, of course, are much larger and more robust, but equally more complex. The U.S. has become more uncertain as an ally, as a geopolitical partner. Russia has become more certain, unfortunately, very clear in their revisionist designs in the neighborhood. China has become a bit more certain to us as they think about their own new role in the international system and shaping it. Europe is dependent on Russian energy, dependent on American security. the U.S. is more deeply divided politically, and the rest of the world does not really support where we are going right now and our description of the crisis in Ukraine. So these are challenging geopolitical times for sure, but the same principles that brought us through that more joyous geopolitical turbulence over 30 years ago still remains the same today. A strong and robust NATO is absolutely essential. The willingness of our citizens to sacrifice for the international rules and the values and the principles that we stand for, that sacrifice will become more costly in the months to come, and it will test all of our societies. We have to prepare for this protracted conflict that we have in Europe today, and that protracted conflict may spread potentially to the Indo-Pacific. And of course, we have to be economically resilient and strong as we manage through these geopolitically turbulent times. So I think the most important thing for us to do as great friends and allies and partners in the Konrad-Adenauer-Stiftung with their incredible network of offices doing incredible research and convening, I think we can meet these geopolitically turbulent times for sure. I would argue we actually need a new bridging mechanism to bring the strength of the transatlantic relationship and meet the trans-Pacific relationship as we see these two great powers more dynamically align with one another. But as we did 30 years ago, we can, using our strength of our allies, our values, and our principles, we can overcome these very turbulent geopolitical times.
To some extent, we experience some kind of renaissance of transatlantic relationship and of NATO membership. I remember it's just a couple of years ago, an American president and a French president announcing their skepticism whether this alliance has any significance and any future perspective. Now everybody is announcing that the Western world has never been as united as it is today, which is, by the way, the next exaggeration. And unavoidably generates the question, if the rest of the world would have the West perceived as united as we proclaim to be, the events we are complaining about probably wouldn't have taken place. But they have taken place. And they have obviously changed our perception of reality. The new German Foreign Minister, Annalena Baerbock, said the interesting sentence immediately after the military invasion of Russia in Ukraine: "We woke up in a new reality." What she definitely meant, hopefully, was we woke up. But is it a new reality in which we live? Or do we have recognized that over more than 10, if not 20 years, the reality has changed and is different from what we all have agreed upon after the transformation of systems in Middle and Eastern Europe? And the common agreement of all European states, including Russia, that at least as far as Europe is concerned, there can't be any non-agreed changes of existing borders. There has to be an acknowledgement of the sovereignty of existing states. By the way, including their entitlement to decide whether at all and to which alliances they would like to belong. All of which being signed by Russian presidents. So, talking about Zeitenwende, turn of history, is perhaps at least as much the embarrassment of our reluctance to understand changes which have already taken place 10 and 15 years ago, at latest with the annexation of Crimea, if not the military intervention in Georgia, all of them. Offensive, demonstrative violations of existing agreements and treatments, and violent changes of borders in Europe. Nevertheless, at least we have now understood that there is a common challenge.